असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा मृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. O Lord, please lead us from unreality to the reality, from ignorance to the knowledge, and from death to immortality. Om peace, peace, peace. Dear devotees, today we are having a interesting topic to discuss, that is a japa or japam. So the Sanskrit word, the meaning is repetition of the Lord's name or repetition of the divine name. This is one of the very often discussed topic among the spiritual aspirants. Why? Because there are different type of spiritual practices. So often we hear Kundalini yoga or different type of meditations, and there are different type of spiritual practices to reach the divine, to experience the divine, to experience the God, or to reach heaven. So among all of them, one of the important practice, and it can be easiest practice also among several spiritual practices. That is what japa, or the repetition of the Lord's name. And this is very common in Hinduism or in Sanatana Dharma. And interestingly, this is there in Jainism, in Buddhism, and also in Islam and in Christianity in their own ways. So everyone have their own type of rosaries. Holding the rosary, they keep on repeating the Lord's name or different mantras, different sacred chants. They keep on doing it. Now, well, the question may come for all of us: why do we need it? Or by chanting time and again the same sacred chant, what I'm going to get? What benefit I'm going to get? This question may come to all of us. Yes, it should. So, according to the scriptures, by chanting the Lord's name or by taking the divine name, by chanting the sacred chant, what happens? Your mind and body gets purified. Your mind, first and foremost, your body and mind gets purified. Then, well, if we continue the divine chant day by day, months after months, or years after year, slowly you will start experiencing the divinity. You start experiencing the presence of the God in oneself. So, for that, this is a very one of the easiest path for all of us. And the Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi, that is the spiritual consort of Sri Ramakrishna, the master. So she tells, and again, very interestingly, this Holy Mother, this divine lady, she didn't tell from her intellect or from studies. Rather, it is from her own practice. She used to get up at 3 a.m. and maybe 10 or 11 p.m. she used to go to bed, and whole day she was busy in the household activities. Way back 150 years before, in the India, they had to do sweeping, cooking, washing utensils, all these things. So many people used to come. She has to do all that. Doing all these things, she used to repeat the Lord's name 100,000 times for in a day. Few hours it will take, no doubt. So, after repeating the Lord's name 100,000 times every day for a few long years, she says, by repeating the Lord's name, divine name, time and again, what happens? One is you got purification of your body and mind. You will feel the blessedness. And not only that, the restlessness of the mind can be easily controlled by practicing japam. All our minds are restless. Say, for an example, some of you have come to hear my talk. Physically, all of you are here, but I'm not sure, or none of us can be sure mentally we are here or not. Sometimes it can go and do the world tour. I am here and I can go to my house. I can go to different countries. My mind can travel to different continents or any Arctic and Antarctica also. That's the reason, funnily, they say that we all know that light is I mean, very fast it travels, light can travel very fast, light and sound. But they say, the philosopher says, no, the mind can travel much faster than even the light and sound. Because at a fraction of moment from here, I can go to Arctica or Antarctica mentally. So mind is terrible, terribly restless. All of us, we know that. Controlling the mind is like controlling the wind or Herculean task. We all know that. So to control the mind, to tame the mind, and to channelize the mind, one of the easiest path is what? The repetition of the Lord's name, or taking the divine name. So by taking the divine name and repeating the Lord's name, what happens? Slowly, slowly, you'll be able to control your mind. When we are able to control our mind, then what happens? Once we get a concentration, with that concentrated mind, we can achieve anything and everything. Now, very old wisdom in India, that too especially eastern part of India, there is called Tantra Shastras. In the Tantra Shastras, there's a saying about this mantra, sacred chant. The basic philosophy based on which is the whole chanting and the mantra shastra is based on this basic philosophy, that is nama nami abhed. It is in Sanskrit, of course. Nama is what? Name. Nami is the person who has got that name. And abhed, there is no essential difference between name and the person. So, for an example, there is a mob, or maybe 20, 30 people are there. Among them, just I want to call a person. Hi, John Hamilton, when I say, immediately he responds. There are 100, maybe there are 20 or 30 or 50 people are there. The moment when I say, hello, John Hamilton, or hi, John Hamilton, immediately he responds. Why? Because his name is John Hamilton, immediately he responds. So similarly, any name and the name of person, there is essentially there is no difference. The same thing, then it has to be brought into the God's name. For example, Jesus Christ. A person named by Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ is a prophet or godly person, saintly person, or God. So he has got a lot of power, spiritual power in him. All that spiritual power is embedded in that name called Jesus Christ. Same thing, like for example, in India or in Hinduism, we have got different deities. One is like, for example, Durga, Mother Durga. Mother Durga has got tremendous energy. She is a divine mother, universal mother. So, whatever the energy is existing in the divine mother, Durga, the all of the energy or the whole of the energy is embedded in a subtle form in these two syllables or alphabets called Durga. So, by taking the name called Durga and by repeating the sacred chant Durga time and again, we will be able to receive the divine energy, divine power from the Mother Durga or from the name Durga. That's what we mean, Nama and Nami Abhed. So, when we hear this, we may get a question: how is it possible? Because God is all powerful, God is omniscient, God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent. I mean, we cannot limit to God's power. All that indomitable and such a universal power, how it can be embedded in just a name, in a small name, that too? Yes, it is possible. For example, we can say, we can take the seed, banyan seed. The banyan seed or the people tree seed, if you see, that it is so tiny. And the tiny seed, once you sow on the soil and you give water and you give some fertilizers and all, then slowly after some time you see a small sapling, 2 or 3 leaves. Then slowly it grows, then it become a tree, and in few years or in a decade or so, it becomes a huge banyan tree or huge people tree. Now that huge banyan tree or huge people tree came from where? Some tiny seed, a small tiny seed. So that great huge banyan tree's power, whatever we are seeing now, the manifestation, all that manifestation of that banyan tree was unmanifested or was embedded in the tiny banyan seed. So, similarly, the universal power, the power of God is embedded in the Lord's name. So, by taking the Lord's name time and again, what happens? You'll be able to receive the God's energy or the divine energy. And even we are discussing now this lecture series as a part of Paramartha Prasanga, or the other name is Towards the Goal Supreme. Now, as you all know, that the author is Swami Virajananda. He is also a great monk. He himself used to spend a lot of time in spiritual practices, and he was not even aware of his body, external body, was not aware of the world in and around. He is there, and he used to practice very intensely spiritual practices, and he used to perform every day, as we records available, that 100,000 japa he used to do. And he was a mantra siddha. Mantra Siddha means whichever the mantra you take and you start repeating slowly, slowly, you will be able to realize that particular Devata. That is called Mantra Siddhi. Say, for an example, someone has taken the name of Shiva. That Panchakshari mantra we say, 5 letters, Om Namah Shivaya. Om, salutations to Shiva. So a person who is gone repeating the Lord's name, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, once he get realized, he will be able to see the God. He will be able to experience the God in his spiritual heart, and he can feel the God's presence in his heart, and slowly he can start feeling the presence of the Shiva Lord everywhere. That is called Mantra Siddhi. And the Swami Vrajananji, he had a Mantra Siddhi. Means whatever the mantra, sacred chant he got from his guru, he practiced for such a long time, sincerely, and he got the mantra siddhi, means he got success in the mantra. He had the vision of the particular deity or particular form of God. Now, there is also a very interesting story from the Puranas or from the Bhagavata. The story goes like this. Uh, the person name called Ajamila, he was born in a very good family. His parents were also very good and pious people. They used to get up early morning, have a cold water bath, and do some spiritual practices, and they did a very pious life. And Ajamila also, when slowly, slowly, he got the same thing from his parents, and he was also very pious man. He led a very chaste life, very ethical life, moral life, and all. One fine day, just he was walking on the road, he got a wonderful fragrance from somewhere. Then he went in search of the fragrance. When he went in the search of a fragrance, he saw the fragrance is coming from particular house. He enters there, unknowingly enters there. It was then that fragrance was coming from a lady. He got so much obsessed, he got so much attracted towards that, and slowly, that because of that fragrance, he got attracted towards a lady. He was already a married man. Unfortunately, he deserted his wife and he started living with this other lady, and he got infatuation. Then they had a children, and very unethical life. Ajamila, finally, he started leading unethical life for so many reasons. But at his fragment of his life, when death was approaching him, because of his earlier pious practices or whatever reason, he was able to remember the Lord, that is Lord Narayana. And there's also a story also. His one of the son name was Narayana. So he used to love his son so much, and he called that Narayana, remembering his son or whatever, because he uttered the word Narayana, that is the Lord's name. Basically, he went to heaven, or he was got liberated. So how one, even as a Lord's name, if we can repeat at the time of death, then we can go to heaven, and all our sins will be cleared, and God will give us realization or emancipation or free from the cycle of birth and death. That is the significance or the efficacy of the holy name. So, if we can lead a proper life, pious life, and if we can take the Lord's name and keep on repeating as much as possible, then what happens? One is our sins are reduced, our evil actions will be reduced, our restlessness of the mind is reduced, Not only that, we will be progressing spiritually, we'll be going near the God. We'll be experiencing the God's presence and will be able to manifest the divinity. That's what even Kularnava Tantra, it's the one advanced Tantra text it is. It also says that Japa, why Japyate is Japa? Means repeating the particular chant time and again is what Japa. Japa is so called because it removes the sin accumulated in thousands of lives and it reveals the supreme deity. So, one is the negative effect is nullified. That is, it removes the impurity, it removes the dirt, it reduces all the negative effects, and also it adds the goodness, it adds the auspiciousness in us, and it helps us to experience the supreme deity or the supreme self. That is the great significant power mantras are having. Now, how these mantras are obtained? Is it written or is it composed like any songs or any poems or any hymns? No. So mantras are not written by anyone. So it is not composed like a poem or a song or whatever. It is a universal chant, which is a revealed text, it is called. So, like for an example, a particular person is sitting, and when during his meditation, he has controlled his mind, and his mind has raised to the highest level of consciousness, highest level. Then there he receives the mantra. Means for him that particular mantra is revealed. Then out of compassion, he gives to his disciple. Then that person will give to his disciple. Like that, we get from parampara. So the mantras are revelatory texts; they are not composed. So this also we have to understand. Now, in spiritual practice, japa is there, prayer is there, meditation is there. This prayer, we use some sentences, we in our own languages, we express our feelings and emotions. Meditation is it's a single concentration and etc. We are trying to concentrate on particular object, or divinizing it, or we are concentrating on a particular object and we are trying to merge our mind with all that. So all these things, sometimes we may feel difficulty, but in Japam, trying to repeat the Lord's name time and again, it will help us. And the same thing, Holy Mother Sharda Devi says that if 10 to 15,000 every day without fail, if you can chant for 15 years, she says that out of my experience, I can give you in writing that you will get peace. Now, here on the lighter side, I say terms and conditions apply. What is that? 10 to 15,000 for 10 to 15 years, we have to do it. Many times, spiritual aspirants they come and say, Swamiji, I'm doing a spiritual practice for a long time, but I'm not getting peace. I'm not getting God realization. I'm not getting any spiritual experience. Then I said, well, we will discuss. Okay, sorry to hear. And how much you are doing practice? Oh, 108, or maybe 508, or maybe 1,000. Like this, generally, most of them they tell. So 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, or maximum half an hour. And for how many years you were doing? Maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, or 5 years, or the most, or 10 years, maybe maximum. I have heard with the people who come with the complaint. I said, look, from at the age of 6, if you start your, class one, then by the time you finish your graduation, at least 14 or 15 years you took just to finish one graduation. Then 10 to 15 years, and every day you were spending around 5 to 6 hours in the school, then afterwards 1 or 2 hours in the home, probably studying or making projects or assignments and all. So 6 to 8 hours every day you were spending, at least 5 days in the week, and for 15 years it took for you to finish one graduation. Then how do you expect every day 10 15 minutes or half an hour you do japa or any spiritual practice or any meditation and have a spiritual progress? So it is not possible. So one of our guru or one of my teacher had told very clearly. I mean, it was a very interesting conversation. So in our parent monastery, we were there, some of us novices, and one of our brother, he asked, Swamiji, we are doing everyday meditation, but we feel that we are not progressing spiritually well. Then the teacher, the senior's monk, he asked, fine, how much you are doing it? He said, yeah, probably daily I'm doing 1 or 2 hours. But by doing 1 or 2 hours, you expect God realization. Of course, there is no quantity, prescribed quantity, but it is not possible. Only every day 1 or 2 hours you are doing, that helps you to clear your mind. Every day you are accumulating so much tendencies, samskaras, so many things you are accumulating just to clean off itself. Just like maintaining a house, to maintaining your mind itself is most of the time it is 1 or 2 hours of meditation will take away. And afterwards he said, and he made a very interesting comment, or his practice during your age, and by that time he was already 95, 94 or 95. So, and he said, during your time, like young age between 20 and 30, how much I used to meditate or do japa? Then we asked, how much, Swamiji? He said, sunrise to sunset, I used to sit for Japan meditation. And now I can say that I've got something. And you fellow, 1 or 2 hours you are doing and come and telling, complaining. And when he told, everyone got just kept their mouth shut, and everyone left the room. So it is not you do for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or half an hour or how many 12 hours you are doing is not important, of course. As much as possible, we should keep on doing the Japan meditation. That's why my teacher used to tell, there is no holiday in spiritual life. 5 days working, 3 days working, and all. There is no holiday for spiritual life. As much as possible, every day we have to be regular in our spiritual practices. And how it happens? For example, today we are whole day we are all is a sunny day. We are all enjoying the sun. But last week, I mean, in these 4 5 days at least, most of the time it was cloudy. Then was sun was not there? Sun was there, no doubt, but the clouds had covered. That's the reason we were not getting a good sunlight or like this sunny day. But today, clouds are not covering sun. That's why we are having a sunny day and people are happy and kids are going outside and they're all playing. Because the cloud is covering the sun, we are not able to see the sun. We are not able to get the complete sunlight. Similarly, because of ignorance, because of our wrong thinking, because of our wrong actions and its results, are covering our mind with the thick layer of ignorance, and we are unable to experience the Lord. Lord is everywhere. He is in my heart. He is in front of me, inside, here, back, in this whole room. Every point, if you see, God is there. But we are not able to see. Why? Because of ignorance, because of impurities of the mind. So by repeating the Lord's name time and again, what happens? Our mind gets cleansed, our emotions get purified, our thinking gets purified. Then what happens? Just like there's a glass, there's because of dust accumulated, I'm not able to see what is other side. The moment when you clean the glass, when you clean the mirror, or when you clean the glass, we can see things other side what is there. So similarly, by doing this japa or meditation or spiritual practices, it is nothing but purification of the mind. Once you purify the mind, then what happens? When the mind is purified, I will be able to experience the Lord, experience the divine, experience the God. That's what japa does. By doing japa sincerely for a long time, just like when the clouds are removed, we can see the sun. So the ignorance cloud card, which is there in the mind, it goes away. Impurities are cleaned, and we'll be able to see. And also, by doing japa, as already I told, controlling mind becomes very easy. Why? Because you are soaking your mind with the divine vibrations. For example, when I repeating the Lord's name, what happened? That word or that chanting produces some frequencies, which is a divine frequency. So our mind is getting that divine frequency time and again, time and again, time and again. So the mind is getting soaked in the divine frequency. The mind is getting soaked in that mantra. Then what happens? Slowly, 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 it gets divinized. It loses all its impurity. It gets purified. So the mind becomes easy to control. Say, for an example, your mind is terribly disturbed. Then, by doing some prayer, or maybe japa, or maybe reading some good books, it helps you, or it helps every one of us to control our mind. Why? Because I am giving a positive strength, positive vibes to my mind, which helps to control my mind. So similarly, the more and more we do japa, what happens? We are filling our mind with the positive vibes, with the strength. It helps us to control our mind easily. Otherwise, you are go on doing a worldly thoughts, worldly thinking, unnecessary thinking that weakens your mind. Now, this japa involves any chanting, mantra chanting, especially like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or any other sacred chant. Now, this any sacred chant, any mantra has got a sound basically. The sound creates a vibrations. And very interestingly, there's Spotanavada and Tao of physics also is there. And even today, the whole world, whatever the world we are experiencing, we travel to the upper things. Like when our mind goes above, then what happens? We can see that the whole world is nothing but vibrations. And still you go get finer, there it is nothing but sound. So from the cosmic space, the first thing what it got manifested is sound. From the sound, that's where even the Bible they say God created the word, and from the word the whole world came into existence. That's what even the Bible also says. So from the sound, the whole world has been come. Even the science also is accepting today, which Vedanta has told long back from Shabda. So now we are going to the source of that creation, that sound. So when any mantra chanting we are doing that, it is producing a sound. So that sound, when what do you say, it fills our body and mind, it gets divinized, it creates that spiritual vibes. That is what the external sound, and that is also a name of an object. For an example, we say Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya is a divine sound, it produces divine vibrations. And apart from that, that sound also, it is representing a name of an object, or a name of the deity, or name of a person. That is what Shabda. And the other is like Om Namah Shivaya, salutations to Shiva. So that is also representing an object actually. Sound is representing an object also. So, for an example, when we are saying that Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, if we don't mechanize, and if we consciously with mindfulness, if we are chanting that, then every chanting will make me to remember to the sacred form or the beautiful divine form of Shiva. So my mind is also getting imagination, or my mind is imagining the Lord's form. So one is you are filling your mind with a divine sound, and you are filling your mind with a divine form. That is what called artha, or an object. And why is it important? Why? Because our mind cannot conceive anything, cannot think anything without name and without word. Nama and Rupa. For example, I say like Atman, we are all Atman. Fine. How it is, how it looks like, or what it is, how it is. Oh, it is a subject, it is not an object. It is not an object, it is a subject. Okay, it is not an object, fine. It is a subject, fine. Then how it will be? What is its nature? Oh, it is just an awareness. It doesn't have any form, it doesn't have any color, anything. It is just an awareness. So when we hear that, okay, it is just an awareness, when we start thinking it is just an awareness, it doesn't have any form, fine. It doesn't have any particular form, but still our mind thinks maybe it may be like a sky, it may be like just a form of light. So our mind vaguely, it takes whatever concept you tell, whatever we tell, any word, it makes an image of it. Without any form, our mind cannot think. So this is our strength, and this is our limitation of the mind also. So understanding that, our forefathers, our the saints said, since without name and without form you cannot think, okay, take the divine name and start thinking the divine form. Then what happens? So you are, what you say, you are filling your mind with a divine name and divine form. By that you are avoiding the unnecessary thinking. One is, the first and foremost is, you are avoiding the unnecessary thinking, and you are filling, or you are soaking your mind with a divine name. And apart from that, this imagination is also very interesting. Now, why I'm telling that it is imagination? Because at that given point of time, when we start our spiritual practices, when we say that Shiva and we have got a particular form of Shiva, whatever we have seen in the portrait, we are imagining actually, we are not able to see, we are not able to realize, we are not able to experience at the beginning. So it is an imagination actually. But this imagining, time and again, imagining, slowly, when your mind is getting filled with these thoughts, divine thoughts, time and again, then what happens? At some point of time, at some day, when we get spiritual maturity, when we get established in our sadhana, we'll be able to experience the particular form of God, or we'll be able to really see, visualize, and experience the Lord. And apart from that, if you don't do that, so you are repeating the Lord's name, no doubt, closing your eyes and you are repeating the Lord's name, but your mind may think something else. But when you are consciously repeating the Lord's name and you are trying to visualize the form, then what happens? You need a quite a good amount of concentration. Otherwise, you cannot imagine a divine form for longer time or for even few seconds, for example. So once you start when you start repeating the Lord's name with a mindfulness and with visualizing form as much as possible, time and again, if you can do that, then the quality of your meditation, the quality of your japa, the quality of your spiritual practice, it gets amplified. It gets better. And also this mantra also has got one shabda, sound. I already told artha means object. The other is pratyaya. There is a mental feeling. Hi. When we use the word, we get some feeling. 100,000 typhoons, when you hear, for an example, we get a different feeling. Our mind feels something else. Hi, hello, how are you? Soothingly, someone speaks. Yes, it gets some feeling. And similarly, any word, it creates a feeling for us. For example, oh, you see, there are beautiful roses. Mind gets a pleasant feeling. So similarly, this divine names creates a feeling. What is that feeling? Divine feeling. So again, you are dehypnotizing your mind from the worldly objects, and you are hypnotizing your mind with the divinity or with the divine feeling. Slowly, that will form an object that will get condensed, and you'll be able to experience the Lord. And there are hundreds of examples in the spiritual history that so many saints across the religions, by doing this japa, by repeating the Lord's name or a divine name or a divine chant time and again, they have reached their goals. Even Patanjali, way back in his Yoga Sutras, he also says, Tat japaha tad hartha bhavanam. So, how one should practice japa? He says, Tat japaha, that is called japa, tad artha bhavanam. While uttering the Lord's name or while uttering any divine name, while uttering the divine chant, we should also try to remember, we should also try to visualize that particular God's form or particular God's nature. So one can do like Swarup, it is called Rupa Dhyana. So for example, you are chanting the Shiva and you can visualize the Shiva's form. So someone may like that I don't like form, then you can take a like uttering the divine chant. You can also read the some stories of Lord Shiva, and you can also start thinking that how Lord Shiva is omniscient. It is his qualities or his nature. How he is omniscient, how he is omnipresent, how he is omnipotent, and is with full of mercy, is with full of compassion. He always protects his devotees. He always helps beings. So there are so many divine qualities in Shiva or any other god and goddesses or any other saint. So when we take the name while doing that, it is called Gunadhyana. We can also remember the divine qualities of that particular deity, and we can do japa and meditation. Then the other is one more interesting is Swarupa Dhyana. That is every god and goddesses, they represent a particular frequency, a particular level of divinity expression, the expression of divinity, you can say. So who is God and what is its nature? So understanding philosophically, one can meditate on that philosophical aspects of the divinity while doing the japa. All these things comes under this Patanjali Sutra, tad japaha tad artha bhavana. Now, even some of the spiritual aspirants have expressed this problem with me that Swamiji, like when we are taking the Lord's name, and while repeating the Lord's name, we try to visualize the form. But for us, probably we are poor in imagination. We cannot imagine Lord's name. So, what is the way out? So, for that, the scripture says that, say, for an example, you are repeating the Lord's name, fine. Then, if you are not able to visualize the Lord's form or divine form, then what you can do? You can concentrate your mind on the divine sound itself, divine chant, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So, you are trying to re listen the sound. You not to tell loudly, of course. In the mentally, you are telling it, and you are trying to listen that sound. You are trying to concentrate your mind while repeating on that sound itself. That is also possible, and that also improves the quality of our Japam history. There is a one Ramdas who was in a Kerala, that southern part of India. He was doing a Rama Japa. His chosen deity was Rama, and he used to do a lot of Japa every day. And doing everyday Japa, he realized Lord Rama, and even the divine qualities of the some of the divine qualities of the Rama was also got started manifesting in this saint, like love, compassion, mercy, and few other things. Whoever has met this Ramdas, the great saint in southern part of India, they have seen how the divine qualities started getting manifested in him. And one more interesting point is this mantra, every mantra, it is all divine chant, no doubt. It particularly it represents the particular aspect or particular frequency, particular aspect of divinity. So the more and more when we chanting, then what happens slowly, slowly, the more and more chanting, and our mind is getting purified, and our mind is getting rising slowly, slowly. We'll be we will one is we are tapping into the cosmic energy. Slowly, slowly, we will receive the divine energy, cosmic energy. How? For an example, in our what do you say phone. For example, quite a few people are listening to my YouTube talk. Now, someone may be seeing in the iPad, someone may be seeing the Mac, someone may be seeing the laptop, someone may be seeing in your mobile or anywhere. How are you seeing? Because you are connected to the internet. So I am talking with the help of internet. My form and my sound is getting transferred to everywhere. Whoever has got that YouTube link and whoever is listening, whoever has been connected to internet, every one of you are able to see and hear. Why? Because you are connected to the internet, or your device has connected to the internet. So similarly, when we are doing japa, slowly, slowly, our mind gets connected to the divine energy, the source of energy, cosmic energy. So slowly, we'll be able to receive that grace. We'll be able to receive the divine energy. That's why we become purified, we get strong willpower, and we get nearer to the God, or experiencing the divinity, manifesting the divinity. All things are possible. And apart from that, for an example, when we start our mathematics learning, just simple addition, multiplication, division, fractions are difficult. Then slowly, slowly you go to higher studies, and when you go to maybe universities and all, trigonometry, analytical geometry, calculus, advanced calculations, we are able to do. So at the beginning, if we are taught suddenly advanced text or advanced mathematical calculations, we would not have done, or we could not have done. But how we could do it? Because we started from simple mathematics, just addition and subtraction. Step by step, we were doing it. Then mind started getting understanding, and the knowledge started getting accumulated, or ignorance has been removed, or whatever you can say. So similarly, when we doing japa, when we are doing this peace chant more and more, slowly, 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 our mind starts getting raised, and it gets tuned to the highest frequency, and that's where we'll be able to receive the divine grace, we'll be able to receive the spiritual energy and whatnot. So there's also one more scriptural statement, which is in Sanskrit, of course. It is Ishtadevata Samprapti. Samprapti, it is called. Means by chanting the divine name, Lord's name, for continuously as much as possible, what happens? You'll be able to experience the divine, experience your chosen deity in your spiritual heart and in everywhere. And very interesting point is, have seen a monk, one of the senior monk in our monastery, that he had I mean, he had achieved Ajapa Japa. Ajapa Japa is, for an example, we remember and we sit for half an hour, 1 hour as a part of spiritual practice. And if we consciously try or practice, then only we can do japa. Otherwise, if suddenly if we forget or our mind goes somewhere, then our japa repetition, the Lord's name stops. Then while eating or sleeping and doing some other work, we all forget. Now there is a sadhana. This japa, as much as possible, one is sitting and doing a spiritual practice in a maybe 1 or 2 3 hours, or morning and evening at any other time. Apart from that, whenever is possible, maybe I'm eating, I'm sleeping, or I've gone to bathroom, I'm walking, I'm driving, just I'm doing something. Even in that time, how much ever possible, if I keep on remembering the Lord's name, keep on chanting the Lord's name time and again, you do sincerely with intensity as much as possible for a long time. If we continue, at some point of time, our sadhana, spiritual practice, once it gets matured, then what happens? Even we stop consciously, even if we stop the chanting, our mind starts repeating the Lord's name. So that state is called ajapa japa. For example, I'm sleeping now. Definitely, when while sleeping and when we are gone to deep sleep, we don't do japa. We cannot do japa even we wish. But the person who has attained this state called ajapa japa, even if he is sleeping, his sleep is not disturbed, no doubt, but his mind will be repeating the Lord's name. So that to that extent one can go. So I had seen one of the vice president of our order, that is called Swami Geetanandji. He he used to keep two rosaries. So one rosary 108 finish, and here one rosary, one bead you count. Here one more 108 you finish, and one more beads you finish. Like that, he used to finish even few rosaries in the left hand itself. I mean, so much japa he used to do, it seems. So that he had got ajapa japa even in his fragment of his life, was quite old and all. He used to lie down because of his physical some physical disabilities or whatever, but his we could see very easily his mouth is to continuously whisper, and his what do you say, his hands also, knowingly or unknowingly, it is to count the Lord's name. So continuously that ajapa japa was happening in him. Now, to repeat the or to chant the japa, there are three type of japam is there. So the one is called Vachika Japa. Vachika Japa means chanting the loudly, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So loudly we are chanting. So this is the one thing. And this is called Vachika Japa. The other is Upamshu Japa. Upamshu Japa is means I'm not telling loudly, I'm telling in mentally, but my lips are just maybe sometimes lips are moving slowly. So people cannot listen actually what I'm telling. They cannot listen, but they can observe that my lips are moving actually. This is the second type. Generally, when you get into any spiritual initiation, so the gurus instruct you a particular type of sadhana, spiritual practice, and this mantra. When they are initiated, they ask you to chant the mantras mentally, not loudly. And and this Upamshu japa, the second type of japa, is considered very intense. I mean, it can easily control your mind, restlessness of the mind, and it help you to control your emotions also, they say, scriptures. The third is Manasika japa. Manasika japa means even your lips are not moving, your tongue is not moving, just at the most your there will be some sensation or some very little movements in the throat when people can observe, but otherwise mentally is doing. That is called Manasika japa or Kantya japa, they say. In not to bother about Sanskrit names. So mentally they are doing it. So just if you see any person externally, they will feel that you are sitting simply, but the japa, the repetition of the name going on in your mind, even your lips or tongue, nothing is getting moved. That is what the Manasika japa. And the Manasika japa is the very auspicious, they say. But sometimes it is also difficult for everyone to practice. So that's the reason, if you are not able to, then you can practice the Upamshu japa, or the second type of japa, they say. And there's also one more interesting story. Probably I will tell and I will close my talk today. A lady by name called Pingala. Her name was Pingala, and she was any ordinary woman in the thing, and she was not had a very good life also even. But suddenly, I mean, she used to do a lot of even theft also. While since she was also a thief, she was doing a lot of stealing in many houses in way back. And she also had one good friend, and he was also a thief. One day, her friend gave one of the parrot and as a present, and she brought that parrot was very lovely, and she started liking the parrot, and she started feeding and taking care of the parrot. And somehow the parrot had a habit, because probably because of his owner or whatever, the parrot used to utter two words, it seems, always: ram 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 ram, or whatever. So that parrot used to utter the word as soon as anyone sees, or anyone it sees, it used to utter the word Ram, Ram, Ram. And this Pingala was so much loving this parrot, and she used to go often feed, and she was, I mean, she was trying to talk with the parrot, and the exchange of emotions and feelings and all. And but every time when she goes this Pingala, she used to hear that name, that Ram, Ram, Ram. Slowly, slowly, somehow she also got attached to that, and she also started uttering the name. And she started also uttering the name, and slowly, slowly, with the God's grace, she got interest in the Lord's name, and she started uttering the Lord's name continuously as much as possible. And finally, she got, I mean, all her evil actions was nullified, all her mm, mental purities were removed, cleared, and finally she attained emancipation. So while discussing the efficacy, while discussing the uh, power of the sacred mantra, or sacred name, or Lord's name, this one of the stories often quoted, that even by chanting the Lord's name, even if you have done any mistake or any sin or any evil actions, even that can be nullified. That is the greatness of the mantra. So only that we need to be sincere as much as possible. We should be regular, and we should be honest, and as much as possible, quantity and quality both should go hand in hand. Quality is very important, and as much as possible, if quantity also can increase as much as possible, based on our life and based on our routine and etc., then definitely we'll be able to realize God, experience God, or experience the divinity. And we can have a peace, we can control our mind, we can control our emotions, we can channelize our emotions, and we can make our life better, quality life. All these things are possible from this sacred chant, that is what japa. May the Almighty bless all of us, so that we shall take the Lord's name as much as possible, and we shall chant it regularly. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.